Welcome to the Dowden Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today we are going to talk about why you need to stop putting yourself down and start having confidence in not only yourself, but your capabilities in order to truly grow. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. That way you don't miss any weekly episodes and posts. You can find video of this episode strictly on YouTube, but the audio everywhere else. But with that said, when it comes to holding yourself back and really trying to get that confidence, really trying to just believe in yourself, it can be very, very difficult, especially in a day and age like today. But in order to truly grow as a person and really experience that change in your life, you absolutely have to have confidence in not only yourself, but your capabilities moving forward. Because you see, when you don't have confidence in yourself, when you stay in that comfort zone, you then put up those walls. Yes, in our minds, it is the right thing because it's keeping us safe. We're staying in that comfort zone because it's what we're comfortable in, because we know we won't be judged, because we know it's safe. But in all reality, when you do that, you then just put up walls all around you that stops you from growing because you're not going out, because you're not going to meet new people, take new job opportunities, experience new things. And the only real way to grow is to do exactly that. So, if you really want to see real growth or change in your life, then you have to get out of that comfort zone. You have to start taking risks. You might have to face those past problems. You might have to face those past situations that have happened in your life. Because if you don't take a step back and realize why that confidence got ripped away in the first place, then there is no way that you are going to get it back. Because for me, it was a toxic relationship. It took me 4 years just to get back out there, just to realize that I did deserve to be loved. It takes a really long time, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to try and find that confidence. Otherwise, you are going to get depressed. You're not going to be able to grow because all you did was put those walls around you. Sometimes you might have to go and take those risks. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. But like we said, in order to truly grow, you have to experience those things. You have to realize that this is your life. Your life is literally only yours. So there's no reason why you should be letting somebody from the internet, somebody from work, a customer, employee, one of your classmates, somebody walking down the hall, there's no reason why their comment should be affecting you or your life. Yes, things can hurt. Words can, make you feel bad. But if you know they're not true, then why let it eat you up? If you know what they're saying is not true about you, you know you don't believe it. You're better than that. Why is it still getting to you? Why is it taking away that confidence? It's not that you aren't strong enough for that confidence. You just need to start realizing that what they say doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter because it's your life. I don't care how cheesy it sounds. Somebody's got to tell you this because at the end of the day, you are living for you. I spent a lot of time in my life living for other people, doing other things because I was in that comfort zone, because I was scared to put myself out there and be the real me, because I was scared to go and get that confidence. But the second I did, I was unstoppable because I realized, hey, I'm in control of me. It doesn't matter what somebody says about me. It doesn't matter what somebody thinks because at the end of the day, they're going to judge no matter what. You could donate $1 million to a charity or not. Somebody is still going to hate you and judge you. So you need to just start living your life and doing what's best for you. Now, like we said, it's going to be hard. I told you it took me 4 years. That is a very long time for you to stay in your head, stay in those walls, and not put yourself out there. That is a very long time. And it took me that long before I could get out and actually grab that confidence. It takes time, but you can do it. You know, you can have confidence in yourself. You just need to stop letting people walk over you and stop believing what others say or think. Start believing what you think. Start believing in yourself. Start waking up and saying that you are worth it. You do deserve the love. You know, you are good enough. You know, you do deserve that success because you put that time in. You know, start giving yourself credit because there's a lot of times, including myself, I do this all the time. I'll do a 16-hour day and then I'll normalize it. You know, that's when you need to pat yourself on the back and say, good job. You know, that's how you're going to boost your confidence. Now, don't get cocky. If you're now, this isn't to sit here and say, oh, go boost that confidence. You're the best in the world. You're better than anybody else. Do not get like that. Okay. There's a big difference between cockiness and confidence. Okay, we are talking about confidence. Have confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. Stay humble. Okay, there's way too many times, especially right now, where these big streamers, these big creators, these big entrepreneurs are way too cocky. You know, their confidence is through the roof. And because of that, they're losing business, they're losing friends because nobody wants to be around that. You know, don't make that type of confidence. You know, have the confidence where you can wake up in the morning and somebody says something to you through your business and you go, okay, I don't care because I know it's not true. You know, have the confidence where you can walk to school and somebody has a comment and you go, okay, that's not going to ruin my day. You know, have the confidence to where you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, you are handsome, you are beautiful, and you are going to have a great day today. That's what I mean by confidence. You know, you need to start developing that, learning how to do it. You know, it is hard, but it can be done as long as you want that change. You know, real growth doesn't happen overnight. You know, you have to go through failures, you have to go through different life lessons. But once you do that, you can find that confidence and that true growth. So, if you are like me and you struggle sometimes with that confidence, you have a hard time understanding that you can do things, you have a hard time believing in yourself, start motivating yourself. Surround yourself with the right people. Wake up and tell yourself that you are good enough, that you can do it, because it's not going to happen by itself. You know, if you don't do these things, you will not feel confident. You know, you have to boost yourself up. You know, if you're around a group of friends and obviously they aren't good for you, they're not helping that confidence, then you need to leave. You need to start doing what's best for you, putting yourself first and making sure that you're taken care of. Because the only way that you are going to really live your life and grow is if you do exactly that. But with that said, today's quote is actually by an unknown. But they once said, self confidence is a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. I appreciate you tuning in. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And this is the Dowden Podcasts.